show, which is not part of your camera time, it's a separate thing. A teaser for the next night. And then subsequent nights, you would have an opening segment, which is about a minute or so, and then a teaser. And that would all come away from your program time. Because you still have to fit it into what, 8 to 11, okay? Time doesn't change, okay? Now, movies of the week can be a risk. They could bomb or they could really be good. And like I mentioned about Roots, there's some other ones I do recall not too long ago that just, CBS did, I think some cowboy ones that were movies of the week, and they just didn't go anywhere. They were horrible, but you never know. But one of the things that we decided to do some time ago, once again goes back to marketing, that has nothing to do with the production, meaning the writing or whatever. It has to do with marketing. And so at the end of the movie of the week, we would do a little teaser that said, if you love this movie, for $29.95, you could get, in the old days, you could get a videotape, or now you can get a DVD or whatever. And so if you had a few 100,000 people at $29.95, do you think that adds up? Yeah, so that's a good one, so that can happen. I'm not going to get into the alternative stuff, which is the reality things. That's a whole different bag. This is not where you guys are at, but I want to be sure there's things with them too, like product placement, which you've heard about. They do all sorts of things like this. The other thing that you have to be aware of when you're doing a TV show is opening and closing credits. Those are normally taken away from camera time, okay? They're not part of your camera time. Now, opening credits, which we had, was no more than, are you ready for this? 10 seconds. Like, what? Usually we're a little longer than that, but there's a caveat to it. It was 10 seconds for either the talent or whatever, but the name of, I'm sorry, not the talent, but the production, the below the line folks. But above the line, the talent, the name of the show, it could probably go into the second act. I mean, it'd go on forever. The closing credits could be no longer than 30 seconds, okay? Now, what we would do, and we have done in the past, is do something called a crossover. One of the things we've learned through this is there's a term we call, and this is one of the things I tell my students, called flow through. When scheduling shows, and I have a handout here, I'm going to go through this in a little while. You want people to stay with you. If they, from morning till night, is that going to happen? No, it's not going to happen. But the idea is you really want to try and have them do it. So, and most people, are you ready for this, got the attention span of a moth. Okay. So you have to do things fairly quickly. You have to engage them. There's a term for this. I won't even try to spell it, but it's part of this term called narcotizing dysfunction. Well, what's narcotizing? You guys know what it means? Going to sleep, right? How many, and I know it's happened because it's happened to me, I know it's happened to you. How many folks wake up at 2 in the morning with the TV on and go, where'd the night go? Yeah. Okay, well that's perfect narcotizing dysfunction, okay? What would happen? But the idea is not to have that happen. You want to have your audience, and the magic word for that is engaged. Now here's another one that takes place. In the past, the EP, the executive producer, the showrunner credit, was just before the last commercial island. Now when you saw that, did you know the show was over with? That last commercial island, because they say the next thing up was credits. Who's going to watch credits? So what happens now is the last act follows, this is part of structure, follows the last commercial pod. So it's camera time and credit time. It's all together. So you have a commercial, which everybody tunes away from. You all know that. Go get a sandwich, go to the bathroom, whatever. You come back, okay, and you got your commercial. I'm sorry, you got your last act, and then you got your closing credits, and that keeps you into it. Now another one we do. This is really upsets people. Called seamless. We'll go from one show to the next without a station break. Okay? I don't think, if you remember the good old days, that you could set your watch by a station break, usually on the half-hour mark or the hour mark. But now what we do is we have the station breaks within the body of the show, and then we go into the next break. Okay? Another one we have is called, you ready for this, called, let me see if I got the term right, supersize. Have you all heard of supersize? Where have you heard of supersize? How many go to McDonald's? Okay, this is not McDonald's, okay? What we do, just to screw the other networks, you better erase that on that tape, okay? What we do to screw the other networks, if we've got a show that's good, or we think it's good, instead of an hour, we'll make an hour and 5. Or a half hour, we'll make it 33 minutes. We go past the half-hour mark and the hour mark. Well, why do we do that? So that you stay with it. Then if you're going to flow away to another network, those sons of bitches, what they said too. It goes into and they've already started the next show and they missed part of the first act. Okay, so this is part of competition. Okay. Now I'm giving you these secrets for free. Okay, it's no charge. But that's part of what we call our audience flow. So we have the supersize, where you go along. Now, by the way, at the end of the night, you still have to end at 11 o'clock. So not everything is going to be long. Something might be short, just to make everything fit between 8 and 11, okay? And it's probably one of the B shows or whatever that's filling out the night. Now, another thing we do is, and I think you've seen this all the time, these little things across the bottom of the screen. Now, you got to think about this. This is interesting about where this happens. Usually at the opening of a show, you usually have the logo of the network that you're watching. So famously for NBC, what are you going to see? What are you going to see for CBS? Okay, what do you see for ABC? It's the hell out of me. I have no idea. I don't watch it. I have no idea. I don't pay attention. But you got the logo, so you know what you're watching. You know what network you're going to be with. The other thing is these little things that go across, like tune in tonight at 11 o'clock, or stuff like that, little crawls that go there. Well, we have a name for it. NBC was called Snipes. Okay. At CBS, it was called. You ready for this? Eyeliners. Very cute, right? Disney, when they did theirs or do theirs, those are called tiggering. Remember that little tiger critter? They call it tiggering. So I don't have an idea what ABC did. I could care less. But anyhow, this is something that we do. This is to keep the audience going. What we want to try and do with your stories, with what you've got, once again, you want to have people engaged. You want to keep them with you, like I said, as long as you can and not turn away. We have what we call combat programming. We've got comfort programming. We've got all sorts of things that are out there. Now, just recently, I got an email from one of the friends of mine that's still at NBC. He's in the program department. And they've come up with a new term, and I hope I got it down here, where they called the power, I think it's called a power minute. I'll double check on my notes here. Or the power, okay, it's the power pod. Remember I told you, like, if we have a show that's premiere, it usually has, for a comedy, it's 2 pods instead of 3, etc. Well, for the new season that's coming up, starting this coming September, we're going to have a 1-minute commercial pod at the front of the show. Not 4 minutes. Most commercial pods are 3 to 4 minutes. So this is going to be very first one is going to be a 1-minute commercial. Now, it may not be 1 solid minute. It may be 2 30s or 4 15s or whatever, but it's going to last only 1 minute. And that's the new format they're going to try and do. So both, as far as I know, Fox is going to experiment with this too. So it's NBC and Fox. The other ones might get into it. But of course, if you're buying that first commercial in that show, so you think it's going to cost a couple of bucks, it's going to be the most expensive commercial in that show. And people will pay a premium for that. Okay. But the good news is for writers, which you all are, you can have a little more camera time. You're going to have a little more camera time. It's going to be there. So we're going to talk a little bit about commercials. They're the bread and butter of why we stay on the air. In fact, one of the things I do with my college students is I ask them a question. It's kind of a trick question because they want to get into TV management. Is they really want to be, even Spielberg or whatever. I said, what does General Motors make, or what does Sony make, or not Sony, General Motors or Toyota? What do they make? And if you got to go ahead. Yep.
I'm so sorry.
That's all right. She'll take notes.
Yes.
It's $20 an hour.
I'm counting on her.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you. I enjoyed what I got to hear. Thank
all
you.
right, I'm glad you did.
Oops. After I make my exit.
Just knock his camera over, he doesn't care.
I'm sorry.
So what happens is I ask them this question, it's kind of a trick question. What does General Motors make? What does Toyota make? And they all say cars, right?
Money.
You got it. It takes a second for that to sink in. But actually, that's what they're there for. And I say it's the same thing in the TV business. You're not giving away your scripts, are you? You're going to try and sell them. It's the same thing. It's all what you want to try and do. So what happens is that there is a big event, usually the beginning of May every year, called the Upfronts. Have you ever heard of those?
Yep.
Boy, I'll tell you, talk about a dog and pony show. That's really, it's not, usually NBC is at Radio City across the street from 30 Rock. There's several thousand people in there. It's buyers, affiliates, whatever. And what they'll do for this is basically they'll talk about what's happened in the last year, all the good stuff they've done. And then they're going to do is they're going to pitch all the shows that are coming up for the next year. They'll give them snippets of it. And this is where they do this. Normally what would happen is the networks would pitch what I call the mothership, okay? NBC, CBS, ABC. Those days are over with. They're now doing something called multi-platform. Each one of the networks has cable systems. We all have cable systems. And I think NBC's got 10 or 11 of them. I can't even know what we have. We got Bravo, Sci-Fi, a bunch of other ones. And so what happens is that if there's a show that may be accepted for the mothership, which I'll call the main network, it could also possibly air on one of the cable systems as well. And that's part of a deal. Okay, that has to be negotiated. Okay. So when we talk about upfront sales, we're talking, you ready for this? Billions, okay? Billions of dollars. Oh, she's going to the other door. You got her, you got her. Aha, he was gonna open the door for you. What a nice guy. We're talking billions of dollars. This is when you have the large clients like General Motors, Bristol-Myers, all the other ones that are major players, pay billions of dollars. But do they sell all the time? Nope. They hold about 20% of the time back. And that time held back is called scatter, okay? What that means is that if a show is promised to do a certain number, and it does not, well, let me rewind. It does a certain number, it doesn't do good, okay? It doesn't make the number that's been promised. Either money is owed back to the client, or commercials are made good in other areas, okay? God help you if you give money back to the client. You never want to do that, okay? That's when they take you out and shoot you, okay? On the other hand, with the make goods, not so bad. You can do it. Now, on the other hand, if you have a show, let's just say it's promised a 10 and delivers a 14, okay? Are we going to make those folks pay more money? No, it's a contract. But what we do is we've held inventory back. So we have openings. And so where do we sell the openings? At a very high price. You see how this game is played? So you got to kind of think about this. Once again, as you're writing your creative, what are you trying to do here? You want to try and make money, okay. Now another one which you're probably all aware of, I'm guessing you are, is intellectual property. You've all heard the term, okay. And the normal way of registering your intellectual property is normally through the Writers Guild. And I don't know if you belong to it or you don't belong to it, but if you don't, there's a way of protecting your property. And I think you've probably heard of this, but I'll just give it to you anyhow. You write your script, you write your treatment, you write whatever. You stick it, you put it in an envelope, okay, you seal it up and you mail it to yourself and you never open it. And you've already got your product protected. And one of the things that happened that I think I mentioned to you, I told you about my wife in the emergency room, which she says, no, you can't watch it. I don't know how many times I was in a social context, and they say, what do you do? I work for NBC. And then that's like they'd run in another room to get a script, but they'd say, I got an idea. And I went, I can't listen to it. Why? Why couldn't I listen to it? Because if we, NBC, happen to pick up that idea, guess what lawsuit would occur, okay? So I can't do it, can't get in this. Couldn't do it, wouldn't want to do it, don't even want to be part of it. So remember I said, I don't get into the creative field at all. And all